So first of all, Steve, thank you once again for taking the time. And I mean, how did you first come across this opportunity to coach at your old high school?
Well, I've always kind of stayed in touch with my high school coach and Mel Scanlon. And of course, Mel coached many years there at Cretin and then Cretin-Derham Hall. And, throughout my career and different moves that I've made as a coach or even as a player, I've always kind of touched base with him. And I had kind of made a decision, one, that I wasn't going to go back to the Canadian Football League and was looking for the next kind of phase of my coaching career. And I told him we had bought a house in Minnesota. And he's like, interesting. He said, I think they're going to make a move on from the previous coach, Chuck Miesbauer. And he said, would you be interested? I said, well, they had actually reached out to me after they, before they hired Chuck. And at that point I was in the CFL, just second year, and things were going well. And I wasn't interested in going back to high school. And anyways, things changed a little bit. Kind of my priorities changed, I guess, with my family. And so I had started some discussions with the athletic director. And then, we got to the point where they were going to offer me the job, and also with some other roles in the school with in the development office, raising money, which I had done before at a previous high school. So it was kind of a good fit. But bottom line is the relationship with the high school is been a 40-year type of relationship. It wasn't just my 4 years that I went there.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's what it sounded like. I know you have a lot of family ties to the school. So kind of going off of that, were you looking at any other coaching jobs in the Twin Cities area? Because I know the main part was moving back to Minnesota. You didn't move for the job. So were you looking anywhere else?
No, for me, it was really about getting the home base, for my wife and for my son and my 10-year-old son. And, being around my parents who are in their 80s, being around, my siblings, and, because I'd been gone basically since I was 18 years old, and come back twice a year pretty routinely. But it was, again, I think COVID and a lot of things changed the way a lot of things, priority wise, and, how people thought about their lives. And I made a decision that it was going to be too difficult to keep going back and forth to Canada. And my dad asked me, he's like, well, do you have a job yet here? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm going to figure it out. So, and then this thing came about.
Absolutely. And I mean, what was the response from the community? Obviously, I'm sure your family was really excited, but what about the rest of the Raider Nation?
Well, again, as things happen, the chairman of our board at Cretin-Derham Hall, Mike Dixon, was a guy that I carpooled with going to school, and he taught me how to drive a stick shift. It was like just weird, how those relationships happen. But he was a senior, I was a sophomore, playing in the varsity with him, and so he was certainly very excited, and I think as a whole, I think coming back with the coaching experience I've had at the different levels, in the CFL professional, and then obviously high school, and then my 2 years at IMG, where I wasn't the head coach, but I was kind of the director of the program. And, so it brings a very interesting perspective back to the school. I've seen some really good facilities, and I've seen some not so good facilities throughout my time. And, obviously the tradition and the culture that exists at that school is very unique and very special.
I believe it. And I mean, kind of going off what you just said, I mean, what originally got you involved in coaching after your playing career in the first place?
When I retired, I actually went into private business. I went into mortgage business and kind of followed my degree in finance, and did that for 9 years. And then, as that industry kind of collapsed under, the pressure of the housing market, I kind of got out of that, obviously, and decided to enter high school coaching, and had an opportunity to coach at a Catholic school where my children were going. And that was really a great experience, and got my feet wet in coaching as the head coach, and jumped right into the deep end, and I really enjoyed it. And then that led to, the IMG opportunity, and then, obviously in the CFL for 5 years.
Absolutely. And like you said, you have so many experiences with all these different ranges of programs, not just in your coaching, but in your playing as well. I mean, what have you taken from all the great coaches that you've, been in contact with, and how have you used what you've learned from them and what you saw from them to add to your own coaching style?
Well, I think it's, to play for 5 different head coaches in the NFL, and certainly some legendary ones, Jim Moore and obviously Jimmy Johnson, of course, Hall of Famer, and Tony Dungy, another, Hall of Fame type coach, and, taking a little bit from every one of those. Dave Wanstead, who I saw as an assistant at Miami and Dallas, and then he was my head coach with the Bears. You take a little bit from all of them. Sometimes it's what you would do. Sometimes it's what you wouldn't do. Bottom line is, as a coach, what I realized is, watching Mark Trestman in the CFL, and, really Mark's been a great leader and a big influence in my life, is the fact that you have to just be yourself. You can't try to be Jimmy Johnson. You can't try to be Tony Dungy. You got to be Steve Walsh. And, whatever your style is, be consistent with it, because the players will appreciate that. The student athletes in high school will appreciate that. And then, everybody says you got to care. Well, yeah, you do. But to care, you really got to find out who the kids are. Whether it's pro ball, you got to find out about the men and the families. High school is no different. You got to find out, what makes them tick, what's important in their lives, whether it's mom and or dad or an uncle. And then you got to, be able to utilize that and how you work with them.
Of course. And so what do you plan to have as your coaching style at Cretin, and how do you want the Raiders to play when they get out?
Sure. I think as a style, you want to be demanding. Demanding is different than demeaning, because that doesn't have a place in high school football. And I think it still exists in a lot of, areas. But I think you have to be demanding. You have to set an expectation of, here's how we're going to work. Here's how we're going to practice. This is the pace and the tempo we're going to practice, and the effort that it takes in this sport. I've always said, football is the most difficult of any of the sports out there, because of the level of teamwork that it takes to make a play work. The quarterback can drop back, have a receiver run a great route, be wide open, but the left tackle misses a block. Plays over, -10. In hockey or basketball, the guy can get the puck or take the ball up the court or the rink and make a couple guys miss and score a point, or a goal or a basket. Again, so to be demanding of what your expectation is, the level of work it takes to put into the sport, to make things work. And I think there's a brotherhood that is developed there. And that bond, that brotherhood, that lasts the kids a lifetime. Because the reality is, most kids won't play organized tackle football beyond high school. So what do you always talk about? You talk about your last experience, and that could be, beating St. Thomas Academy, to go to the playoffs or go to the next level of the state, and those are the things that do last a lifetime. And, I want to make sure that the culture that we establish is that we are willing, and we are going to be hardworking. We're going to give effort. We're going to play fast. That's on offense, defense, and special teams. And, we're going to be well coached. My deal is we're going to commit a lot of time to the fundamentals of the sport, because that's what high school comes down to, is if you can continue to improve on the fundamentals, you're going to become a better football player.
Absolutely. And, with your experiences and what you've done at high school to college to pro, and do you feel that has helped you relate to these kids and what their aspirations are and how they feel in the moment playing high school football?
I think the fact that I've seen and have had teammates of various skill level. My last 2 high school quarterbacks were Shea Patterson and Kellen Mond. It's not bad. Kellen's in the NFL, and Shea's been in the CFL and had a cup of coffee in the NFL. Maybe he'll get back there someday. But my point is that, I know what a 5-star quarterback looks like. I know what a 5-star receiver, what a 5-star defensive end. I've seen all these guys. So as you're relating to a young man, you're trying to place them or set their expectations of what, the next level, if they choose to and sacrifice that takes, because I've lived it. And two, where is the best fit going to be for you, for your talent level? And, and then obviously, as coaches come in and they talk to you, and I know recruiting keeps changing and evolving, but, you can say, hey, this kid reminds me of Shea Patterson. Obviously the different great players that we had at IMG, I can point that out, and obviously what a projection of a certain 12th grader might look like in 4 years.
And when you're heading into a high school and you're being a coach, you're not just coaching the team, you're building a program, and that goes to the junior varsity level, the freshman level, even the feeder systems. I mean, how do you plan to go about that and making sure that people want to play not just for you but for the high school, and they want to come to Cretin-Derham and be a Raider?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we have going, if you look at the number of athletes that have come through that high school that have gone on and played professional sport, it's astounding. And I know Eden Prairie's had some great programs. I don't know how many, guys that Mike Grant has coached have gone on and played in the NFL. I'm sure there's been some, but the list at Cretin-Derham Hall is amazing. And again, not everybody's you're talking about a very small percentage of high school athletes that go on and play in the NFL, let alone Division I football.
Yep.
But the tradition at that school, the tradition of success. Now they've only won 2 state titles. They've been in a mess of the state finals and tournaments, and we got to try to change that. But the track record, if I want to come in as an undersized guy and all of a sudden I grow during high school, like Matt Burke did his junior and senior year and went on to play Harvard and then ended up playing in the NFL. You can see those. You can go back and, a skinny kid from Shoreview, Minnesota that goes there and gets a scholarship to Miami, plays 11 years in the NFL. Okay, there's a track record there. And when you think about it, Chris Winkie, who's won a Heisman Trophy and a national championship, Joe Mauer, who, hopefully will be a Hall of Fame baseball player if he's not, he should be on track, who was a great quarterback there. Mark Alt, who played in the NHL, is great high school quarterback. That's the thing. We're going to continue to develop quarterbacks. That's certainly going to be my focus at the school, as well as building a program. And we've done it before. We can do it again. We have a little bit of a struggle because the feeder programs are all over the place, because youth sports kind of has been under attack because of the issues with football, and a lot of moms not letting their sons play football. But I really believe, of course, I'm not going to dispute, hockey is probably being the sport in Minnesota. Heck, I wish I would have kept playing hockey. I ended up playing basketball and certainly love basketball as well. But football, there's something about football when freshmen come in, and it's the first thing that the parents are exposed to are Friday nights, or whenever the freshmen play, whether it's Wednesday night or Thursday or Friday. That's just a unique experience in young men's lives to get a taste of what high school is, and certainly high school football. It's an indoctrination into your high school 4 years, and we feel like we can build a champion again. Not going to be easy. We got a lot of competition even at that 5A level, but that's certainly our goal, is to have championship vision around the program. We'll build it where we can with the feeder programs, but it's going to start in 9th grade, and we got to fast track our athletes as quick as possible.
Yeah, of course. And have you gotten a chance to talk to the players yet, or will that not happen until the summer?
No, I've been up there. I'm planning on going up in March and in April, and the rest of the coaching staff is touching base with them. But I have got a chance, and our numbers are down. We have to try to recruit the hallways, as they say, and get kids in that have played before or haven't played. But even the student athletes that come out their senior year, in my experience, it's been life-changing for them. And so that's what we're gonna try to promote to our student body, and try to get our numbers back up. But it certainly will be a challenge getting everybody back ingrained. The bottom line is, you want to have success for the students, for the kids, because there's nothing that bonds a team like a championship. And I've experienced a couple times as a player and a coach, and that bond, you might see them a few years down the road, and they might be playing for another team as I've experienced in pro football, but you have that bond, and nobody will ever take that away from you.
And like you said, Minnesota is obviously kind of hockey first, but they have a great basketball tradition. They have a great football tradition. How excited are you to be back out there on the sidelines on Friday night and just kind of having those almost deja vu moments of when you were in high school?
Well, with my experiences going to, being guest coaches at NFL camps, when I was a high school coach, they all kind of said the same thing. Man, I wish I could go and coach high school ball now. They don't want to give up their paychecks, but they certainly understand that is the infancy and the true love of the game time in their lives. And it's really enjoyable coaching that, coaching a ninth grader who's never played tackle football, how to get into a 3-point stance, or how to take a snap from center, and how to catch the ball, and all these different things that sometimes you have to do at the high school level. It's just great. It's about building football players, and I've always said that I want to give you guys such a great experience that someday you can coach your son or daughters and know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Steve, one of my last questions for you is, it's a little off topic, but I still want to ask, with all the NIL stuff going on, have you thought back to your days at Miami and what you might have been able to do if NIL was a thing back then when you were national championships and you were part of the U?
It really is an interesting time, and really, as most Power 5 colleges realize that is going to be a key component. I think on every recruiting trip, yes, you're going to see the library, you're going to see the weight room and the meeting rooms. You're also going to sit down with the director of the NILs or NLIs, I think it is. Because that's going to be a certain strategy that teams use when they recruit young men now. And obviously the things that they've done at Alabama, certainly the USCs and the UCLAs that have the LA market, it becomes huge. And, I enjoyed, my period of time at Miami. I can sacrifice the fact that I didn't get the name, likeness, and image opportunity for the fact that we didn't have cell phones. That was a good thing.
Gotcha. Well, Steve, once again, thank you so much. And before we wrap this up, I just want to ask, do you feel like I left anything out, or is there anything you'd like to add to what we talked about?
I can't. I think you did a great job. I think we hit on a lot of things. So
awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, Steve. Thank you.